So something that's been really beautiful from our side as a news company, a news agency, is that we get to tell a lot of the stories of South Africans coming home, and it is an influx that is beautiful. There's actually a group that we follow, that my journos follow, about people returning to South Africa. And it's South Africans from all around the world that share the most incredible stories of their, I'm quoting Angel here, but their homecoming revolution, which is something very, 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 very special. This is Good Things with Brent Lindeque. I'm on a mission to change what the world pays attention to. I believe there is good news all around us, and I spend my time hunting down and reporting on the best good news stories from South Africa and the world. On this podcast, proudly brought to you by Bond, you'll meet these incredible South Africans. Welcome back to another episode of Good Things with myself, Brent Lindeque, the Good Things guy. I'm excited! I say that every week. And I hope you're not sick of it yet, because I'm going to keep saying it. But today I've got an incredible guest who has a fantastic good news story about South Africans doing something really lacquer locally, but it's actually international. Anton van Heerden, CEO of DNA EOR. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you here. You actually follow Good Things Guy, and you've watched a couple of episodes of our podcast, and you contacted us to say, listen, I have a good news story that I want to share about South Africans that you're helping work locally but abroad. Is that correct?
Correct. That's absolutely correct.
Tell me a little bit about the company.
Okay, so we started about 5 years ago with EOR. So EOR is employer of record. That's what the industry is known as. It's a fairly unknown industry. I would say 1 out of 10 people know what EOR is.
I don't. When I was introducing you and when I was reading your bio before the show, I had to really get into the gist of what EOR is. So maybe for our listeners and our viewers, if you can just unpack it.
Yeah. So employer of record is an industry where a company like ourselves legally employ people on behalf of foreign businesses who don't have a legal entity in South Africa. So for whatever reason, a foreign business, they don't want to set up a legal entity in South Africa. Normally compliance, risks, they're not into that. But they want to employ people in South Africa. So we then employ the people on their behalf. We are the legal employer. So there's an employment contract between ourselves and the individual. And in turn, the client who sits in the UK or wherever, they pay us and we pay the employee. The day-to-day management is done by the foreign business. So we only act as the legal employer. We get involved if there's any formal procedures or whatever, that's where we get involved. We serve as the HR office in South Africa. If there's any kind of disciplinary, stuff and CCMA things, that's where we get involved as the legal employer. Hopefully it doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen often. Yeah. But that's the function we fulfill as the legal employer. So that's in essence what an employer of record is.
So Anton, in a country like South Africa, where unemployment, our statistics are relatively high when we look at the rest of the world, and there are many stories that we see in the news of graduates or, even just South Africans who may lose their jobs or leave their jobs, who can't really find employment after the fact. Is this an option now or an opportunity where some of those South Africans could possibly still get work while living in South Africa, but obviously for a company that's global?
Absolutely. So we have amazing skills. We have many people with tertiary degrees who are unemployed. So it is absolutely a job creation exercise. So we enable South Africans to get work and be able to have the exposure to work for a foreign business, which is also cool, without having to immigrate. So it's job creation. And it's sharing our skills with the international employer base, really.
Over the years, I've had such great opportunities to interview different South Africans, and one thing has been clear when it comes to the common theme of South Africans working abroad is that we are bloody hard workers. We really put the hours in. So I can imagine that a global company will be seeking someone who's not only skillful, but who is willing to go that extra mile.
Absolutely. So South Africans are known for their work ethic. South Africa has become one of the most popular remote talent destinations for a couple of reasons. Work ethic being one. Our English accent, which is very neutral, so that's very popular. The fact that our time zones are very similar to the Europe and the UK. And then cost. When businesses in Europe or the UK employ, or the US, when they employ someone in South Africa, they normally save between 30 and 40% on labor costs. So all these things combined, the work ethic, everything just makes South Africa a very attractive remote talent destination.
When you contacted me to tell me that you had a good news story, there was a little bit of a red flag. I was like, we cannot be sending our South Africans overseas. We need to keep them here. But there is another side to the story, right? So yes, you're helping South Africans get employment. This is a fantastic story within itself. But there's also skills coming back, right? It works two ways.
Yes. So we have many South Africans who live abroad. They work for a company, let's say in the UK, and after a couple of years, they want to come back home. Their employer in the UK is so impressed with them that they say, you know what, you can go back to South Africa, but we want you to keep on working for us. And we end up employing them in South Africa, and they continue working for their employer in, let's say, in the UK. And the other good part of that story is they continue earning a UK-based salary or European-based salary. So that also happens.
Well, I mean, that in turn has got the knock-on effect that it actually is helping our economy, because you're bringing in those pounds or those euros, and then you're spending them here on homes and your lifestyle and whatever you do. So it is a all-round good news story. If we had to narrow it down, so I could understand, not myself and the listeners and the viewers, what sorts of jobs are sort of opening up on this global level that South Africans, and I guess it's very varied, but what could you sort of talk to when it comes to the different jobs that are available for South Africans to do?
Whoa, don't go anywhere. This is just a 10-second ad. This episode was proudly brought to you by BetterBond, turning good things into home things. Because owning a home should feel like good news. And BetterBond is good news. Plus, they're just a really lacquer brand to partner with. That's it. Ad over. Back to the poddy.
So, as you say, it's varied. Any job that can be done remotely qualifies. So literally, and that's what I said to you earlier, COVID opened businesses' eyes to the fact that they can employ the best people anywhere in the world. So whether you're sitting 5 miles away from your office or 5,000 miles, it doesn't matter because you're working from home. So literally any job that can be done remotely qualifies. We find, interestingly enough, some countries focus on specific jobs. So we have many accountants that we employ on behalf of Dutch companies, just as an example. Our biggest market is the UK. But that literally, from marketing to software developers to engineers to accountants, anything goes, really. If you can work from home, you can do it.
I have to ask the question because I'm sure that anybody listening to this conversation might lead into this direction. But could it eventually become an opportunity for a South African to move over? I mean, if you want to go, the grass is greener on the other side, whatever that is, does this open up doors? And I guess I'm answering my own question, but I'd like to hear it from you.
It works both ways. So to answer your question, yes. We have a client in Holland who employs South African accountants, and they eventually immigrate. But just to test the waters initially, we employ them for 6 months. If the company likes them, then they end up immigrating. But the opposite applies, as I said earlier.
Yeah.
These people, many of them come back after a couple of years and say, you know what, I want to live in South Africa, and they continue working for whoever.
Those companies.
Yeah.
So something that's been really beautiful from our side as a news company, a news agency, is that we get to tell a lot of the stories of South Africans coming home. And it is an influx that is beautiful. There's actually a group that we follow, that my journos follow, about people returning to South Africa. And it's South Africans from all around the world that share the most incredible stories of their, I'm quoting Angel here, but their homecoming revolution, which is something very, 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 very special. The network of people that you have that are working within your space, are they connected? Do they know that they're part of something a little bit bigger? Or are they kept quite separate in silos going, you work for the Netherlands, you work for the UK? How does it work from a company perspective?
Yeah, so we have our biggest client is a company in Andorra, actually, but their client sits in the UK and the US. They have almost 100 people with us. So these people work together in an office. They're based in Umhlanga. And they do telesales for a company in the US and the UK. So they work together as a team. Then we have other clients where we have 1 or 2 people who work from home, so they're a bit more isolated. And that's also where we come in as the employer, to try make them feel part of a team that, ultimately they are our employers. So we try and engage with them regularly so that they're not isolated. So, it varies depending on the team and the client.
Do you have some sort of portal where people can get more information about maybe the jobs that are available, how to apply? If someone is degreed, this is the start of the year. There are many graduates that are looking for positions. Is there somewhere where everybody can go and sort of see this information?
Yes, so we assist our clients with recruitment, but they mainly use their own recruitment agencies. But if somebody contacts us and says, you know what, I'm an engineer or an accountant and I'd be keen to work for a company in Holland, then absolutely we can keep their CV on file. And when we get requests from our clients, then we can share that. So they can just go to our website. It's DNA EOR.com. And, they can just contact us and we'll keep their CV on file.
So I love this story, and for a number of reasons. And the first is that it's giving South Africans opportunities that maybe they didn't have before. And like I said earlier on, in a country that has got such a high level of unemployment, this is a little glimmer of hope. That even though you don't have to leave the country, there is opportunities for you to work right here and still get that employment. And the second thing is that it's proof that South Africans are also coming home. And that they're able to make a life here after getting more skills to add to their repertoire from overseas. So I want to thank you so much for coming in and sitting with me today. It's been absolutely fantastic.
Thanks.
If anybody wants more information, we're going to put that website up onto the screen so that you can log on and get all that info. What a great good news story. Like I say every week, wishing you only good things. Okay, love you, bye. That's it. For more good news, visit www.goodthingsguide.com. Okay, love you, bye.